Everybody, Joe here, back again with another edition of the Top 5. This week's Top 5, taking a look at beat-em up games for the Sega Genesis. Beat-em up games, probably something that the Super Nintendo is better known for, with, say, like the Final Fight series, for example, or they had a great port of Knights of the Round, and a lot of arcade ports in general. Most people associate with Super Nintendo over the Genesis, but Sega, they had arcade roots of their own. The Genesis itself was actually based on the System 16 arcade board, which the Sega used in the mid-'80s. They definitely had a few good beat-em-ups of their own, and that's what we're taking a look at this time around. Beat-em-up games have been around since the early mid-'80s. For earliest one that comes to mind is probably Kung Fu Master, which many of you may know better as Kung Fu on the NES, but we're here to talk about Genesis beat-em-ups this time around. Maybe I'll cover NES ones at another time. So with that, let's get to the list. Number 5 on this list is the original Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage, probably one of the most ported games of any Genesis title. Countless compilations. You find it on Wii Virtual Console, Xbox Live. You can even get a version of it for on your smartphone if you have an iPhone. It's all over the place. Probably best known for having incredible music, probably the best soundtrack of any game. It was composed by Yuzo Koshiro, who is regarded as one of the best video game composers ever. It's a great fun game, great co-op. The only real nitpicks about it are that it is a little bit easy, and that the game has characters that are kind of small. A lot of the sprites are very nondescript and a little bit on the small side. However, this game is still a lot of fun. Great pick up and play game. That's why it's number 5 on the list. Number 4 on this list is Golden Axe 2. Golden Axe 2 and Golden Axe 1 as well are both kind of like Streets of Rage in the whole side-scrolling, belt-scrolling, beat-em-up style. Just this is in this medieval swords and sorcery setting. Instead of like a SWAT officer calling in, it's either like a dragon spitting fire or a spell being cast. Like with Streets of Rage, you choose between 3 characters. Interesting thing about Golden Axe 2 is that while there was a sequel in the arcades to the original Golden Axe 2 was actually a direct home sequel, only available on the home console. And like with the Streets of Rage games, this is also ported all over the place, easy to find. And again, it's a very enjoyable game that has its own personality. It's a lot easier than the first game, so that's why I kind of picked it, because sometimes the arcade levels of difficulty are a bit high because they want to take quarters. Home systems, they don't need to do all that. Number 4 on the list, Golden Axe 2. Number 3 on this list is Comix Zone. Comix Zone's not quite your traditional belt-scrolling beat-em-up, but it definitely fits into this list because there is a lot of hand-to-hand combat in the game. It's got a very unique style, which makes it a little bit more interesting than a lot of the other games on this list. It does stand out. I mean, the music is not quite as good as some of the others on this list, but visually it is awesome. It's got this unique style where you're jumping through comic book style panels and fighting monsters within them. It's got a simple, straightforward layout and the controls. The only real nitpick about the game is that it is quite difficult to play. I never got far in it without cheat codes. However, it's still a lot of fun. It's got an innovative look, great graphics, which is not to be really much of a surprise when you take in consideration that this is a game that came out pretty late in the life of the Genesis. People knew what to do with the system at this time, and creating this game where it's like a comic book comes to life was an awesome idea, and they really knocked it out of the park with the execution. Like I said, just a little bit difficult. Number 2 on this list is actually the only game not published by Sega on this list. It's actually a Konami game, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist. This game is often overlooked and considered inferior to the Super Nintendo Turtles in Time, which this game is not a port of Turtles in Time. It's an original game kind of inspired by this and the previous arcade title, which most of you know came home as Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on the NES. Hyperstone Heist takes a lot of elements from both games, includes some original elements of its own, original levels. I don't think Master Tatsu from the movies was a boss you fought in any of the other games except this one, which I think is a pretty cool addition. But the game is a lot of fun. The graphics are very good. Again, maybe it doesn't quite compare to the original titles which were ported elsewhere, but as it stands, it's an excellent game, and it's a game that, again, something that I came into recently and didn't have this. It's actually kind of up there in the collector's market. I've seen the cartridge alone go for over $25, which is quite a surprise. Complete in box, I've actually seen it over 100, which, again, something I wasn't expecting, because it's a game that it is kind of overlooked, but it's a very good game, and apparently people have eyes to see it now, so it's going for a little more money, but it's definitely good if you can get your hands on it. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Number 2 on the list. Number 1 on this list, much to the surprise of nobody, I'm sure, is Streets of Rage 2. Streets of Rage 2 took everything that the first game did and improved on it. Did away with the swap backup special attack and gave the characters personalized special moves, which I think is a great feature. Gives the characters much more personality. Much like how each character now has more individualized fighting styles. In the first game, despite, one being faster, one being slower, one having a weaker jump. In this game, each character's fighting styles and animations look totally different. And everything, there's a lot more personality too. The sprites are bigger, better detailed. Overall, the graphics are a great improvement. I personally find the music in Streets of Rage 2 to be the only thing inferior to 1, but the game is still a hell of a lot of fun. It's a great game to grab a buddy and team up with. In fact, most of the games on this list, Combat Zone's the only one that didn't have a co-op in it, or any 2-player for that matter. But Streets of Rage 2, excellent game. Not much more to be said. Like with not unlike the first game and the Golden Axe, these are games that are been ported all over the place. You find them, I'm sure, on Xbox Live and on a Wii Virtual Console. Numerous greatest hits compilations. Definitely something you should check out if you haven't. Streets of Rage 2, number 1 on the list. And this concludes the top 5 for this week. I'd like to thank you all for coming and checking out my videos. Welcome to all the new subscribers. I know there's not many, but still, it's more than I had. Glad to have you aboard. Like to give a shout out to Gamester81 for making last week's video his user spotlight. Very cool of you. Great honor. Last week's video, what can I say? Most views of any of that I had yet. Thank you all so very much for that. I hope you stick around. Hope you enjoy. If there's anything you want to see, feel free to reach out to me and tell me. Any suggestions for future top 5s? Anything, feel free to reach out. Thank you again, and hope to see you next time.